unfortunately, last year, 2 banana companies closed down because of lack of financing. They were not able to get financing from the banks. So that's a big challenge for us, but also an opportunity for finance to come into the Bangsamoro because we are the most underbanked region. In fact, our primary players here are the DBP, the Development Bank of the Philippines, but the number one bank that we have here is still the government bank, which is the Land Bank, but not enough. We don't really have enough banks. That's why we hope also that the microfinance sector will step into the gaps, because not everyone wants to go through the process of getting financing from banks, because the requirements are more rigorous than, for example, the informal lending sector. So that's something that we hope to encourage, the microfinance sector.
Sa mga majority Muslim na bansa, malaki ang papel na ginagampanan ng Islamic financing sa kanilang mga ekonomiya. Sa BARMM, ang Microfinance NGO na ASA Philippines Foundation ay 4 na taon nang nagpapatupad ng Islamic Microfinance. Alamin muna natin kung ano nga ba ang Islamic Finance sa ating panayam kay former Comelec Commissioner and Secretary of the National Council on Muslim Filipinos at ngayon naman Sharia Advisory Council member ng ASA Philippines Foundation, Attorney Mehol Sadain. Ano po ba ang Islamic financing at papaano po ito naiiba sa non-Islamic financing?
Well, basically, Islamic financing is the raising of capital or money through methods that are sanctioned by Islamic law or by the Sharia, guiding principles which are Islamic in nature. The guiding principles, the first actually, which is riba. Riba is considered in Islamic law as something which is literally in excess of or the credit facility that was given. So whether the transaction is a loan or a sale, if there is excess income in the nature of interest, that is considered a riba. So that's the first principle. You avoid riba, you avoid usury. In Islam, sharing of loss and profit, meaning if you extend as a creditor, you extend financing to a debtor, and the debtor engages in business. No. Theoretically, it is actually both the creditor and the debtor who are in business, so that when the business fails, it incurs a loss. Both the creditor and the debtor share in the loss. No. In the same manner, if there's a profit, then they should also share in the profit. To us, to Muslims, that you don't just, hindi yung sinasabing kabig ka lang ng kabig kung ikaw nagpapautang, but if the business loses, you also share in the loss. The third one actually would be the avoidance of uncertainty. There should always be certainty in the transaction because Muslims who are engaged in the capitalization business should know what to expect from each other. And then the fourth would be avoidance of gambling, which is maisir in Arabic, as well as speculations, which is kimar, because maisir and kimar, or gambling and speculations, are not actually sure way of earning money. No? Plus there is the uncertainty also of losing, because in that kind of business lies on chance. And Islam does not want a business that would be based on chance. It should always be based on real investment facts. The reason why it is important for Muslims, that Muslims yearn for the Islamic way of life. See? And when it comes to financing, trading, etc., that requires generation of capital, all Muslims would of course desire the avoidance of riba or interest instruments, interest and risk instruments. No? They of course want to avoid that so that they can live according to the tenets of Islam. He says that Allah, God, has declared war against riba. So whether you are the one exacting interest or you are the one giving interest, both of you, the creditor and the debtor, are actually subjected to that war of God against interest.
Bakit po mahalaga sa mga Muslim, kasama na ng mga kapatid nating Muslim Filipino sa BARMM, ang Islamic Financing?
As Muslims, wanting to live a Islamic way of life, sometimes we call it the halal way of life. No? Halal way of life. Muslims would really desire to live that life, and Islamic financing is actually Sharia compliant financing. Yes. It has a lot to do with that, actually. I have always considered the Philippines as a predominantly Christian country that is swimming in a sea of Muslim countries. So the Philippines is practically relating with Muslims, no? Not just today, but more so in the future. And more so because of this concept of ASEAN integration. We started this actually with the old economic concept of the BIMP IAGA. I hope you recall that, no, Mr. Secretary. The BIMP IAGA was a way for ASEAN countries to trade with each other and mutually gain from this relationship, pushing for an ASEAN integration. We have to already possess the rudiments of Islamic financing so that when we relate with them, we are at par with them. We understand each other. So that is the importance actually of being able to keep abreast with the Islamic economic and financing developments around the world. Malaysia is one of the best country to espouse and promote halal right now. No? Even the Middle Eastern countries would look up to Malaysia in terms of its halal product. Now, the Philippines has been left behind. One of the latest laws enacted was one on Islamic banks here, no? Or Islamic windows for banking transactions here in the Philippines. The old law that we have actually is a charter of just one Islamic bank, which is the Al-Aman Islamic Investment Bank. So no other bank can set up a branch here using that old law. But the new law allows new banks to come in. There's also another law on the promotion of halal exports. So there are two new laws that promote halal as well as Sharia compliant banking. Getting all of these legal delineations, legal terms, legal concepts that will jibe with the concept that is being used in the Muslim Southeast Asian countries. So that's very good.
Ano po ang papel ng isang Sharia Advisory Council tulad ng sa inyo, sa ASA? At ano na ang inyong natututunan sa ilang taon yung operation?
ASA tried to move towards Islamizing some of their offerings, like the murabaha. It needs the imprimatur, a review and then an approval by a council that is composed of Sharia experts. The primary consideration of the Sharia Advisory Council, our council here, was to make sure that this murabaha would exist and would operate within Islamic principles. You know, the more you go into Islamic financing or Islamic banking, the more you see the benefit of this to the people who need capitalization or financing. So in short, these are actually instruments that can help the economy.
Ngayon naman, kausapin natin si ASA Philippines Foundation President and CEO Kamrul Tarafder tungkol sa kanilang Islamic Microfinance operation sa BARMM. Kamrul, please tell us a bit about ASA and your Islamic Microfinance operation in BARMM.
ASA Philippines Foundation is a not-for-profit institution organized in 2004. So we're existing here in the market for last 16 years of microfinance experience. But our Islamic finance is about 6 years. We started on pilot 2014 in Taguig, and then we started to visit different other countries, including Malaysia, Indonesia, Bangladesh. But we went to Indonesia more because it has cultural similarity with the Philippines, and we visited several institutions and the Sharia school there, the Universidad Negara Islamia Indonesia, particularly their School of Sharia Law, where we were able to see the appropriate model for the Philippines. and then we came back and then we applied it in BARMM. We are catering to close to 33,000 of our nanais in Muslim Mindanao with the Sharia compliant product, with a portfolio of over 526 million pesos, and their savings actually more than 50%, which is 263 million pesos. Our Islamic microfinance product, or the size is small. I have to admit this fact. It's just nearly 2.5% of the overall loan portfolio of ASA Philippines. ASA's loan portfolio is 22.2 billion pesos, while Islamic Finance is only 526 million pesos. ASA has its 1.9 million borrowers, while Islamic Finance is only 33,000. It is also because of this the smaller size of BARMM populations. But we are optimistic that in the future, we will be able to inspire more Muslim Filipinos to avail this product, microfinance. You know, ASA is the icon today. Not only the Philippines, it's an icon in entire Southeast Asia and the Pacific. ADB has granted a loan, and this is the first time in ADB's history to give a loan to an NGO without sovereign guarantee. So ASA is an established, internationally known entity, and the performance is excellent across the country. However, our repayment rate, 99% collections. Well, it's actually inspiring. Our Islamic Finance is doing much better than the conventional microfinance in several ways. The repayment rate is higher there. At least 20 to 30 basis points, Islamic microfinance is collection rate is better. Our write-off and par ratio is also much better in BARMM areas. The loan uptake, loan releases, and the average loan size, loan ticket, and as well as the loan size is also much higher in Islamic Finance, particularly in BARMM areas. So that's actually inspiring. It's probably because in the BARMM, our programs are small, and these are the traditional Islamic traders and the business ladies. As you know, ASA is catering only to the ladies, not the gentlemen. So they're doing very well, and the performance is relatively much higher compared to the rest of the country, both on the collection side as well as on the disbursement and the average loan size.
You mentioned that you want to share ASA experience with Islamic microfinance and BARMM with government and the industry. What have you learned about the market there?
In BARMM, we entered with our traditional microfinance in 2012. In Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, Basilan, and Cotabato, it is 2012. We entered into these 4 provinces, except Maranao. And the people were actually taking it, even though it was not actually a certified Islamic finance at that time. But the principle of Islamic finance was there. But when we started implementing our Sharia compliant product, we saw that much more enthusiasm. They saw that there is something they will never be excluded. It is something for them. It's by design. It is inviting the Muslim traders to join immediately. That was the first lesson. And the second lesson, we saw that since it's a compliant, it's motivated much higher. So the business probably doing much better. So the loan uptake was much higher. The average loan size in Muslim Mindanao started to gain higher than compared to average loan size of the rest of the country.
What are your recommendations based on your experience there?
The common and most important element we have seen everywhere for Sharia financing, that the country should have national Sharia accounts. Philippines government, including BARMM, should establish Sharia Council for Financial Institutions. And then they should advise all financial intermediary, including us, to have internal advisory council. And then make regulations that all financial institutions or a BSP regulated or MNRC regulated financial intermediary should be reporting to the National Sharia Advisory Council on their compliance of the products and services they are offering to. And there should be a national dialogue on a regular basis, so that there would be always an improvement and learning from each other. And there should be also a Sharia advisory board within BSP. I'm not sure about the size, but there should be a smaller scale of Sharia advisory council or Sharia advisory team within BSP to guide intermediaries, financial intermediaries, BSP regulated or BSP supervised, who are saying they're also venturing into Islamic finance. That would be our suggestion or immediate suggestion. I would actually advise everyone, we are open to show our books and records and the procedures, how we are doing it. We are open to this. We are open to this from day one. We don't keep anything secret for ourselves, because we believe that anything that institution will learn from it, from us, they will eventually provide services to the unserved people, and it will help the people, and we will be indirectly benefited, if not here today, but hereafter. That's my personal view. So we are inviting everyone to come to see what we are doing, and our Sharia Advisory Council, they're also open to discuss anyone interested in a dialogue.